In today's review, we will take a close look at The Rise and Fall of DODO, written by Neal Stephenson and Nicole Galland in 2017. The 752-page long novel is the first volume of an up to now two-part series, which is an important detail that we will discuss later in this video. The story is an interesting mix of science fiction and fantasy elements, thus resulting in a sci-fi hardness score on the softer end, although it certainly has aspects that could seamlessly fit into a hard sci-fi novel as well. Overall, the world building is relatively restrained, with a contemporary main setting and some historic settings thrown in as well. The Rise and Fall of DODO frequently sports intriguing new ideas in relation to how time travel could work, and it borrows a couple of ideas from concepts like the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, a topic that Neal Stephenson has used as a central thematic point in other works. The roster of characters in The Rise and Fall of DODO ranges around 24, which is the sweet spot for most of the recent novels that Neal Stephenson was involved in. In terms of awards, The Rise and Fall of DODO fell short and was only nominated for the Goodreads Choice Award for Science Fiction in 2017. In contrast, its combined score of 3.9 out of 5 stars based on 10,000 of reviews on Goodreads, Library Thing and Amazon is nothing to scoff at. Up to now, there are no news related to an adaptation of The Rise and Fall of DODO on the big screen or as content for a streaming platform. The story of the novel unfolds when military intelligence operator Tristan Lyons recruits the low-level Harvard linguistics lecturer Melisande Stokes to translate several historic documents for the secretive government agency DODO, the Department of Diachronic Operations. The content of these documents indicate that magic was real and practiced for thousands of years until the 19th century, when for unknown reasons the power of magic waned and disappeared completely. Tristan and Melisande, together with a small group of scientists, technicians, as well as an unlikely ally, are able to slowly but surely bring back magic to the world of the 21st century. Tristan's superiors within the US intelligence and defense community are especially interested in the potential use of time travel to advance their strategic geopolitical goals in the contemporary world. The first missions reveal that time travel as such is not trivial in achieving the initial goals, and thus DODO has to adapt and expand its modus operandi. With each successful mission, DODO gains more and more influence and favors within the Byzantine power structure of the US intelligence and defense community, which results in an increased funding and more personnel. However, with this growth, DODO slowly but surely succumbs to its own bureaucracy, red tape, and institutional inertia. Ultimately, things get out of hand when some members within DODO start to advance their own personal goals, which are at odds with the overall mission. Already this brief summary of the plot of The Rise and Fall of DODO should convey how the novel combines elements of science fiction, fantasy, alternate history, the adventure and spy genre. The scientification of magic gives The Rise and Fall of DODO some sort of magic system, if we want to apply the terminology commonly used in the fantasy genre. As mentioned earlier, Neal Stephenson's interest in the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics is the basis for this magic system, and gives also an explanation how magic ultimately disappeared from the modern world. Obviously, The Rise and Fall of DODO as a whole is not hard science fiction, but in a way it could be classified as reasonably hard science fantasy, if that term makes any sense here. Also, several issues that frequently hamper time travel stories have been mitigated in the story quite intelligently. However, we are approaching spoiler territory here, so beware. The rules related to time travel in The Rise and Fall of DODO require that a sufficient number of parallel timelines need to be changed in a certain way to yield an observable effect in the present. This is a quite refreshing alternative to the linear timeline model that you often see used otherwise. Back to the Future would come into mind here.
Great Scott!
Thus, two main problems that are inherent to this linear timeline model can be avoided. First, while time travel is powerful in The Rise and Fall of DODO, it is not the completely unstoppable tool that it would be if a simple hop into the past could directly fix any problem in the present. Second, time travel paradoxa are not avoided, but they require a certain amount of build-up and trigger a temporally and locally limited share, which tends to manifest itself in an explosion. This also highlights the danger of time travel and adds further risks to DODO's missions, apart from the perils inherent to the time and place where the mission takes place. Furthermore, The Rise and Fall of DODO is written using a rather unconventional style that, in addition to the quote-unquote normal chapters, includes mission reports, personal logs, news articles, battle hymns, and other collage-like chapters. Such an arrangement results in a wider variety of points of views and gives the novel a bit of a unique twist, including a certain amount of meta-humor, especially related to the bloated bureaucracy within DODO. The plot itself resolves one important story arc, while there are several other overarching storylines that are not finished satisfactorily. This fact would be a huge problem for the way the novel ends, if The Rise and Fall of DODO would have been a standalone novel, as I did assume until very recently and which I alluded to in a previous video about Neal Stephenson's Anthem. Fortunately for us, the story will be continued in Master of the Rebels, so there is hope that the aforementioned overarching storylines will receive the ending that they deserve. We shall see. Overall, The Rise and Fall of DODO is a solid science fantasy novel, with a unique twist to the time travel genre. The plot itself can be a bit convoluted at times, no pun intended, but there are several moments and characters that did stand the test of time. Or rather, the test of my slowly waning memory. In general, this tends to be a good sign, but your mileage may vary. If you liked this video, you may also enjoy the other reviews and content on my channel. Feel free to leave a comment if you want to discuss the novels or if you want to suggest other books that I should review in the future. Please consider upvoting and subscribing, it is much appreciated. Thank you for watching and until next time.